As China gets closer and closer to becoming a match for the United States of America, it is quite logical to understand that they have to exert their influence in Asia. So it's not only India which is seeing this kind of behavioral pattern from China, but all its neighbors. When the present government says Atmanirbhar, this is extremely important. It should have happened long time back, but now at least there is a good beginning.
How have been India's relations with China in last few years? And what challenges China poses to India in coming few years? To talk on this topic, with us we have Lieutenant General V G Khandare, who is former military advisor to NSCS and former Director General, Defense Intelligence Agency. So what would you say? China, a threat, last few years, how have been the relations? And in coming few years, what would be the challenges for India?
China and India are two major powers in Asia, and our independence has nearly been around the same time. Like we became independent in 1947. The present China's regime came into being in 1949, and since then these two Asian powers have been growing. China has been growing at a much faster pace, and the reasons are obvious. They have been assisted largely by the technology from the West through USA. That was one of USA's plan when they had to disintegrate USSR. So the beneficiaries have been China largely in terms of technology as well as the foreign direct investments. And in the bargain, this kind of an economic competition and political ambitions which have fueled China's desire to talk about the national rejuvenation, China's dream, and China becoming a superpower by 2049. They are the stated goals which Chinese Communist Party has been claiming openly through the Xi Jinping thought in the last few years. As China gets closer and closer to becoming a match for the United States of America, it is quite logical to understand that they have to exert their influence in Asia. And in Asia, other than India, it has to exert its influence in Japan or in that area, South China Sea. So you have China exerting its influence in the entire neighborhood of all the countries which surround it, as well as the maritime zone. So it's not only India which is seeing this kind of behavioral pattern from China, but all its neighbors. And that is where you see now United States of America also recalibrating its strategy in Asia. And what has India been facing is a lot of competition economically and a lot of aggression from China along its land borders. Now, when I say land borders, it is for all of us to understand that so far our boundary issue has not been resolved. So that is a constant source of friction between the two countries. And when today we see the kind of concentration of Chinese military opposite the Indian northern borders, it's one of the manifestation of China's dream to make it big.
So how should India prepare itself, and how is India prepared for such challenges?
India's preparation against China or even against any other adversary is not a one-day affair. It has to be a sustained effort and whole of nation approach, whole of government approach, in which every citizen is responsible to ensure that the India's economic power grows, because the economic differential with China is quite big. Simultaneously, India's technological gap vis-a-vis China is also huge. And these are those areas where it is not a military responsibility to bridge the gap. So we should look at the entire national power, the comprehensive national power, which has to grow and grow strong at a very fast rate. So India has to first get its act right in terms of its economic security, its water security, its food security, its intellectual security, its technology security. All these domains are most important in the modern warfare. So if India needs to ensure that it creates a deterrence for China, then obviously these gaps have to be bridged. Currently, if we see, the bridging of gap is more or less incremental, and the pace at which China is growing is very fast. So India has to get all its ministries and all its segments of the nation to develop much faster. That would be the best preparation to counter Chinese threat.
We talk about rival countries, nearby countries. Talking about arms and ammunition, how can we compare it? And only arms and ammunition are enough, or as you hinted, that all the other elements throughout the country should stand in one line.
The days of conventional warfare, I would say, are not over, but the chances of unconventional, subconventional, unrestricted warfare, protracted warfare, these are the things which we are looking at. The fifth generation warfare, the sixth generation warfare will also unfold. Countries will have to prepare themselves for kinetic as well as non-kinetic warfare. We are talking of linear as well as non-linear warfare. So simultaneity in preparation by nations is extremely important. So when we look at arms and ammunition, that comes under the kinetic domain. But under the non-kinetic domain, India has to do much better in its economy as well as in other domains like cyber, space, information warfare. So we have to really get our act right there, and that is exactly where I said the entire country, each citizen has to focus to ensure that we do not go through the same history that we've gone through over the past few centuries. Subjugation of national will can be extremely harmful. And if we really want to have our future generations to have a lot of independence, I think each particular domain will have to be strengthened. We cannot live with foreign dependence. So that is where, when the present government says Atmanirbhar, this is extremely important. It should have happened a long time back, but now at least there is a good beginning. And the only way to do it is to get technology here, prepare the products here, keep looking at new technology simultaneously, keep encouraging our human resource skills to ensure that we become better and match the new technology. So I think we have to look ahead, and the past wars can only be a guide, but the new wars are different. In fact, the new wars are something like, without declaration, an economic war goes on. Without declaration, possibly a biological war will also go on. So in each sector, whether it is health, education, commerce, industry, we have to get our act right. Otherwise, China will definitely go far ahead, and then there will be a lot of leveraging which they will be able to do against weak countries. I only hope and pray that India does not fall into the category of weak countries.
When you mention about economic warfare, biological warfare, or chemical warfare, are you hinting somewhere about the ongoing corona pandemic or corona menace?
When I spoke about non-kinetic warfare, the issues of biological or chemical warfare clearly fall under this domain. The cyber warfare also falls under this domain. To an extent, even the space part will come into this domain. Information warfare is also in this domain. What actually happens is, these are forms of exerting influence over the adversary, or even in the neighborhood where there are no adversaries, but those countries have to be subjugated. So there is deniability, there is non-attributability, and the international conventions on such domains are very weak. There are gaps. So countries are not able to pinpoint as to who is responsible for this. And the present COVID crisis, the pandemic, is still going on. And countries have faced very severe impact of the pandemic. Practically every country has suffered in its economic movement forward. I think China, by its own statement, has been saying that they have not suffered.
With camera Gopal Harness is Pankaj Khelkar in Pune for India Today.